I'm Rebecca.
And I'm Hunter, and this is
The Family Showdown! Ah, so peaceful.
Not our usual rock and roll intro.
Yeah. Hope you're still awake, maybe.
Trying to set the tone.
Nature.
Nature. Top 10 nature thing.
Who are you again?
All right,
Welcome,
folks.
chat.
Nature theme. So, when I made the list, I went off in many different directions, and I kind of reined it all in because I think nature theme. You got animals, you got plants, you got like sciencey type stuff.
Oh yeah.
You got animals, all sorts of animal games.
Mm-hmm.
I kind of had to narrow the scope because I started off with about 30 games on my list. Okay, I've got to do something to kind of calm this down. Yeah. So I kind of immediately took away games that are just on there because they're my faves and they're kind of nature.
Okay.
So I switched gears and I said, okay, what games are going to be the most nature feeling for me?
Okay.
So that's kind of narrowed it down, and then from there I just kind of went, which ones do I think is? So they're not in the order of my favorite game.
Yeah, mine isn't. Mine's not either.
There's some of the games on here that wouldn't even make my top 100.
Wow, interesting.
So, yeah. So there you go. How about you?
I thought of, to narrow it down, I first of all got rid of anything that was like cartoony or not.
Like fantastical?
Yeah, nothing fantastical. Because there's some fantasy and sci-fi things that I thought would be really cool. Because I mean, if you think about it, nature, I was like, Mars? But I was like, science, sci-fi. I kind of narrowed it down from there. And then anything that I thought of instantly when I thought of nature, and then I put those down by how strong I felt they were with the theme. So it's kind of a loose top 10 as far as I'm sure some of them feel more like nature than others, but they all felt like nature when I was thinking about it. So mine are very much into flora and fauna and appreciating such. So mine are very
I'm kind of in that same boat too. I even made some deeper cuts, but we'll talk about those probably towards the end. On my list too much by saying I cut whole swaths of game types out of the list.
That's fair. That's fair. I got you.
All right. Oh wait, we gotta bim bam bum it.
Hoser says War of the Ring takes place outdoors. I love it. We haven't pigeonholed a War of the Ring into a top 10 in a long time.
All right.
It's due.
Here we go. Here we go. Let's
shuffle up and deal.
See what we get. All right. Oh, you didn't cut the whole deck this time.
Who was fussier?
That's definitely me. So just so I don't get messed up in the order, what's the normal order? I'll go first.
Okay. That works.
All right, let's do it.
Number 10.
All right. Number 10. Let's see what it is.
What is it?
This one. Cascadia. So this one's a little lower on the list because it's kind of abstracty. But even within the abstractness, its bits are wonderful, pictures are beautiful, but it is just putting tokens and tiles down and kind of abstract. But within that abstractness, there is a little bit of theme because you're basically placing animal tiles in certain patterns,
right? And
the patterns make sense. So the fish have to be in a little row, like a river, and the little eagles have to be really fall apart because they're predators and they got to be separated. And different themes for different animals. But it's kind of stretched in a little bit. So this one mostly gets in here on the aesthetics more than the actual mechanics.
Well, but no, you're right though, because with the mechanisms, they did. I mean, like you said, eagles tend to have a pretty wide range, and then they had some that, like the fish, the way the fish have to do a line.
Right.
No, I think there's definitely some theme there. It's just like you said, it is abstracted, but they did try to type it by animal.
Right. Yep.
I like that.
Yep. And bears need to be next to something, a river or something, and
it
elk have to all be in one group because they travel in herds and all sorts of stuff like that. So there's a little, but it's abstract.
I like it.
But most board games are abstracted to some degree, obviously. Unless you're like out in nature.
I move actual animals. I don't know about you guys.
Cascadia.
That's good. That's good. My number 10 is very planty, and that is Herbaceous. And I think, and again, the game itself, you're not going to go, whoa, I'm learning about nature, but you're looking at and enjoying really beautiful plants and just playing and chill. It's kind of like chilling in the garden. You gardener peeps know. You can kind of just have a little zen time, with your garden and your herbs and stuff. And this game kind of does that for me. So I felt that was quite fitting. And you can't beat that art. So the only way they can make that better is if it was scratch and sniff cards. That would be.
Yeah, I mean, that spoilers, none of these type of games made my list. So
okay, interesting.
They do kind of invoke the feeling, but it doesn't feel it's abstracted too far, I think.
Oh no, it's not
too far for me. But they do. It's beautiful. Was it Beth Sobel? Is that the artist? Yep. I think. Anyway, the art's beautiful. You are planting little flowers and collecting different groups and arrangements of flowers, plants, or herbs, obviously herbs.
Hence herbaceous.
Well, they have flowers.
They are flowering plants. Really? Why are we just?
But anyway, it just doesn't. Other than the feeling and the aesthetics, it doesn't have the mechanisms. Don't feel.
Okay, that's cool.
Just doesn't.
Too low. Nathan thinks it's too low. Well, here you are saying it should be on the list.
I'm completely wrong.
Fight. Oh.
That's not unusual. All right, move on.
Number 9.
My number 9 is another one that's yet abstracted, but has beautiful bits. This is that kinds to be the trend towards the bottom part of my list is abstracty kind of games with beautiful bits. And my number 9 is Honeybuzz.
That's a good pick.
Honeybuzz. That's a good pick. So you are building a little beehive, but it's a very abstract game. You're basically putting certain things, symbols next to certain other symbols. But at the end of the game, you have this nice little honeycomb built, and you have all these wonderful little different types of honey and and pollen and all sorts of stuff, and
because it's based off of the kinds of flowers that the bees are collecting and whatnot.
Right. So it has the themes there, but it is very much abstract how the tile placement works and things like that. But aesthetically, again, like Cascadia, the aesthetics add to it, and there is a little bit of theme there in terms of the pollen, the bees, and the honey and things like that, and designing the little honeycomb. So. It's a good one, a little family weight game, worker placement, I guess. Yeah. And it's super easy to teach. Nessa plays this one. So and the bits, I don't know if it's just if all the games or just the Kickstarter version has bits. I think they all do, but they're a little rubbery. The honey's like squishy.
Yeah, it's fun. Everybody loves to mess with it. It's fantastic.
You drop it and it goes boing, 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 boing,
yeah, it kind of bounces a little bit.
Yeah, so it's a good one. The expansion's kind of cool too, and I like this one.
Fun one.
Yep. What do you got?
I like that pick.
What do you
My number 9 is another light little game, and this one is Parks. Because of course,
I thought this would be higher up on your list.
Yes and no. This one, you're exploring and hiking in nature and hiking through the national park. And so this is about that, and you get some resources to do some little things and whatnot. But it's mostly about your hiking and choosing what to do while you're going out on your hike. And I don't know. I really like this game. I think it's really accessible, and it's kind of twofold. It's a fun little game, but it also makes you think about going out and actually getting out into nature and doing stuff. And I love that.
Yeah, and if you get is it Nightfall expansion?
Yes, I love the Nightfall expansion.
Camping, you actually have little tents.
A little night, yeah.
You go if you don't want to do basically moving along a track and it's different actions you can do. And if you don't like the action you can do, you kind of go off the trail and do something and do a different action. You have a different choice. It gives you more options.
Which is fun because that's what camping is about, right? Because sometimes you make all these plans and then you're like, I really want to see where this trail goes. Let's go, you know? And that's what this is about. And I love it. Absolutely love it.
That's a good one.
So
I like it. We're just zipping along.
We are, man.
Number 8.
Number 8. What's my number 8? Have we switched gears? Are we still aesthetically abstracty, or are we moved on to my next grouping?
No.
Maybe we're moving on to parks.
Hey, what a lovely choice you've made.
Yeah, this is.
I approve this method.
This is a good. I agree with everything you said.
Such a pretty game.
I like the whole getting in the outdoors and doing things, and, exploring and trying new experiences and going to new places and things like that, and that kind of evokes that feeling. But it, again, like all board games, it's kind of abstract because you're just doing action selections, doing different things, taking pictures and exploring different parks and doing set collection and all sorts of other stuff.
Well, it's just got fun little bits to it too. They had nice little wood bits with that, and it's just a nice little compact game. It's real easy to cart around to play anywhere, and just
I would throw Trails into this if you want a similar experience.
Absolutely,
but a little bit lighter, a little bit easier to teach. Trails fall into this group. If I was forced to, I would split these apart, and it would be Trails then Parks.
Okay.
But I've kind of put Trails into this group because they're very
they're really similar.
The mechanisms are tricked up a little bit, but if you played one, the other one will feel familiar.
Absolutely.
To you. So
it's lovely.
My number 8, slightly higher than Rebecca's number 8. Number 9, Parks.
Yep. So my number 8 is another. Don't worry, they do get heavier, I promise. But this is another light game that's very pretty to look at, and that's Floriferous. So this one again, you're not gonna like this one because it's not in the heart of the mechanism itself. But this is another one like Herbaceous, where you're looking at the different plants and you got little bugs, like bugs that you'd find in a garden, and you're collecting these and getting set collections to get victory points and stuff with it. And it's just a cute little, I don't know, the way that you go about collecting things as you're going through the rows and you're each picking one and stuff, just kind of, for me, conveys like wandering around through a garden. And I don't know, I just get that vibe when I'm playing this, and it's just really nice. It's a nice, chill little game, beautiful art again. It's really fun. It's another laid-back game. I mean, you could make this super cutthroat because you could make any of these games like that cutthroat, but I don't know. It's really hard. You could snipe stuff from me, and I'm still probably just going to be like, all right, I'm here in my happy place. It's lovely, So.
Yeah, I definitely rate this one higher than Herbaceous, just because I think this one same. I think it's the same artist, but this one's more colorful.
This one has more color, yeah.
Just like Herbaceous is like different variations.
Well, it's hard to get excited about herbs, I guess, when they're all green. I get it. Yeah, it's not the same.
You have all the different flowers and little pictures of little insects and stuff on the cards and stuff. This one's got a little more. The other one. But it has, again, this is like Parks and Trails. You kind of get a similar feel. If you played one, the other one will feel familiar.
Right.
Just the other one is kind of pulling from the middle, and this one's actually kind of you're picking card you want. So very similar. Very similar. Good one, but not good enough for mine.
What? All right, what'd you pick?
I gotta go this.
Oh, what?
You're jumping.
Number 7.
Number 7. All right, we're switching gears. We finally switched gears from like the aesthetically pleasing, the calm, serene part of nature to the violence of nature.
What?
With my number 7, dominant species. Yeah. So kill or be killed is part of nature.
Dog world,
dominant species. Rough. So this one, again, this one's a little more abstracted, but I like the fact that of all the different species you play, what their superpower is very thematic. Each of the different six different species, they all kind of play slightly different from each other. Again, this is another one where you could throw dominant species marine into the mix. The only reason I think that I chose dominant species over marines for this choice is that you, at the start of the game, you kind of create a creature, and it's not really, you could end up with like a whale with like barracuda teeth and like a, something
fair.
big, it could be, it's kind of what if kind of situation.
True.
You're creating a creature, but of course we don't know. We've explored like what 5% of the ocean or something insane like that.
Yeah.
So any creature could be out there. So maybe you're creating one that actually exists. But it feels kind of make believe. It has
Yeah, I can
a
see that.
slight bit of make believe
I can
feeling
see that.
to it because you're kind of creating a thing. But that's similar to some later on my list. But anyway,
Ooh. I wonder if we have a
so it's kind of the Marines is kind of a what if scenario, which is fine. Yeah, this one is area control game. It's basically it's a war game disguised as a nature themed game. It's area control. You're tracking. You're eliminating, moving ant species around, fighting for food and control of different parts of land. Meanwhile, the ice age is happening and spreading throughout the board.
Yep.
You're just trying to survive on top of everything else. So it's a pretty brutal game. It's a very mean game. It's a war game, and war games are mean.
Nature is brutal, though.
It's a GMT. It's basically a war game, but it's got worker placement. So it's got a little bit of
War takes place outdoors.
It's got a little bit of Euro-ness in it there with the worker placement. I really like the design of this game. I like the theme of the game. I like the puzzly nature of the game, but the nature is definitely nature. Birds eat lizards, and lizards eat bugs, and bugs eat people. I don't know.
I feel like I just walked into a science class.
Dominant species, or if you prefer, dominant species. My number 7.
Very nice. So my number 7 is not quite that heavy, but it's pretty, and that is Wingspan.
Oh, 7.
Hey, you know, this one is, if you don't like birds, you probably will by the end of this game. And it is just a wonderful look. Again, the mechanisms are not necessarily, oh, look at nature, but they kind of are, because you've got the different habitats that you're putting them in, and you're collecting the eggs and doing different things and whatnot. And I love that. What really just sends this over the top for me, though, is the app. Get the Wingsong app. It's free. And then every time you play a bird, we scan it and it does the bird call. I think it doesn't have the ones for Australia, New Zealand, Oceania.
There's certain ones it doesn't.
There's some it doesn't, but for a good chunk of them, it'll have the sound, and it's so good. It's just so cool to listen to them as you're playing, and
yeah,
it kind of transports you a little bit.
We almost like want to buy more cards to get to hear the
No,
bird
it's true.
song.
It's so cool. We have so much fun with it.
Oh, what call does that one make? I don't need this card.
Yeah,
but
we're like scanning it. Our games take a little
criminally
longer now.
low, not to spoil my list. Wingspan, criminally low.
Interesting.
Criminally low.
Huh.
It may not have made my list, but it's criminally low.
Very cool.
Number 6.
Number 6. Speaking of kill or be killed, my number 6 is evolution. Any of the evolution games you want. Evolution, climate, oceans. I'll throw oceans in there. What else? My first evolution, the evolution. Anyway, so this one kind of goes against my made-up creature things, but who knows what all kinds of creatures existed way back in the day and what they did and what they're able to do or not do. This one is super thematic. It's like trying to survive, just like dominant species. This one's just as mean and just as brutal, but lighter. This is more approachable. This one's much more about just surviving, as in dominant species is more about thriving and spreading and controlling.
This one's a little more down. It's more like zoomed in on the animals more, right?
Yeah.
Not so much the habitats.
Yeah, this is individual animals trying to get food and either eating other animals or foraging for food, or some create their own food. Yeah, it's a real good one. I like it. Evolution. This one kind of goes against my made up thing because you are getting superpowers with different creatures, but who knows?
I don't know that really. I don't know. I'll refrain for a second. Go ahead and show my game.
Oh, is that your number 5 or 6 or something? What?
It's my number 6.
I
went ahead and put climate.
But you put the picture for evolution.
I did. That's actually really funny. So I thought about it a little bit differently because, yeah, I suppose you could say it's separated and it's fantastical, but I really don't think so because all of the different evolutionary traits that they're talking about are real. The fake part, of course, is you're attaching them to different animals, but I mean, that's kind of what happened. You know, if you think about it, as they were adapting to what was happening to the climate and stuff. So I went ahead and was like, okay, this is pretty true. They're adapting to some drastic climate changes, and you have to kind of go with the flow and adapt with it, or you're going to lose out.
Right.
So it's not quite as brutal as dominant species. But then again, if you aren't able to adapt well, you're dead. So yeah, it's kind of brutal. But again, so is nature. We like to think of it as fluffy and pretty, like my bottom 3 or 4, but it can be pretty mean too.
Nature is mean.
So nature, you sound like you like, I've seen things.
I've watched the what is it, the Mutual Omaha Wildlife stuff
That's
when I was a kid. And
that's true. I
alligators
saw that too.
eating wildebeests and snakes eating frogs and all sorts of death and destruction that we were subjected to as a kid.
It's really true. You're just like, you know. Oh, I forgot about that show.
Look at the snake slithering down the den of the muskrat.
And at first you're like, oh, it's a cute little creature. Of course it's going to get eaten. You know, yeah. Nature. Yep. It's true.
That's fun.
Nature red in tooth and claw. Very true. There is very true.
Number 5.
All right, let's move away from death and destruction back to warm and fluffy.
Really?
Yeah, it's coming. This is my. I got a few warm and fluffies coming up.
Yeah.
All right. It is, and you would never in a million years guess this is on my list, but it is.
Bunny Kingdom?
No. Fantastical.
I know.
It's Papillon.
Oh, yeah.
Papillon. So this one's, again, this one's a little bit abstracted, but so you're drafting tiles. The tiles are, if you've ever played Lanterns, this will make more sense to you.
Yes.
You're matching up edges of tiles, and the better you match up edges, the better benefit you get for your turn. But the end result is you're getting these tiny little butterflies, and you're putting them on flowers, and they have little tiny little clothespin butterflies, and you put them on the flower. And by the end of the game, you have all these different flowers, and there's all these little butterflies of all the player colors,
it's so cute.
all over the flowers, and then it's an area control game. Whoever has the most on their flower gets a certain number of points. But it's just the aesthetics are just like over the top on this one. It's like beautiful. It's one of those games at the end you have to take a picture of the flowers with all the butterflies on them. Then Nessa's like I guess she still is, but less so. She's more of a rabbit lover now, but
she still loves her butterflies.
Back in the day, she was all butterflies all the time. So we have a lot of butterfly themed games. This is one of them, and it's one of my favorites. Haven't played it in forever because Nessa grew out of it a little bit, but it's a great game.
Yeah, she just grew out of board game. She grew out of that game.
It's a beautiful game.
It's gorgeous.
The aesthetics of this one outweigh the abstractness of how the game plays.
Truth.
So
I got you.
Sometimes the aesthetics can overcome mechanisms and theme. So because if someone walks by the table and just
that's a showstopper.
Gives a quick
every
glance.
time,
There's these 3D flowers out with all these butterflies all over them.
Yeah.
You know, it reminds me of we have a bush out in front of our house, and every year the
butterflies love that bush.
Called
and the bumblebees.
The monarch butterflies fly through our neighborhood every year and just layer. We have 2 flowering bushes in our front yard, and they just layer the bushes, and it reminds me so much of that thing. It's like a yearly thing that the monarchs fly through, and butterflies everywhere in our yard. So
it's pretty awesome.
Needless to say, nice looking game.
Good pick.
And that's why it's so high on my list.
It's a good pick.
Number 5.
I like it. My number 5 is the opposite of your light and fluffy. Mine's heavy and mean. And that's dominant species.
Oh, you put it higher on your list?
I did.
Wow.
Because, I mean, nothing says nature like fighting for supremacy, okay? I mean, it's just how it is. And that game, I mean, it shows it all. Like you said, Mutual of Omaha here.
Yep.
You know, it's a rough game, but it's so real, you know, as their habitat, whether it's natural or not. In this case, it's the Ice Age closes in on them. They're battling out for areas where they can live and thrive, and if you don't fit in that little food pyramid just right, you're out. And it's rough and it's pretty real. It's a good game, but
yeah,
it's brutal.
And again, I like how I can't recall all the different superpowers of all the different species, but they're very thematic. Like
they really are, and they're good.
How
they're good.
I mean, they get like a little slight Benny in terms of worker placement, but it makes sense where their benefits fall on the list.
Yep.
So
it is very cool. I like it, but it's you already talked about it a lot, but it's just I think it's a pretty powerful game as far as nature themed.
Yep.
For that.
I agree. There are a lot of crossovers. Not surprising.
No, not surprising.
All right, let's move on. Let's find the button and we'll do it.
Number 4.
All right, number 4. So this may be one of the most thematic abstract games that we own. You have any clue what it would be?
I have a clue, but I don't want to spoil it.
Photosynthesis.
Yeah.
So yeah, this is a total abstract game, but it evokes one of the most nature feeling things out of me because I love how it's the trees fighting for sunlight, right? I mean, that's just the forest canopy. You have the taller trees, stealing all the sunlight from the lower trees, and you have the big tall ones, and you have the little shrubs. That's all that can survive down low because there's so much sunlight. In this game, you're building these little trees, you're planting a seed, and you get a little tiny tree, and it grows and grows and grows. And as it grows, the sun is kind of moving around and hitting the trees from different angles. And the taller trees steal the sunlight from the smaller trees, and they basically don't score points, and therefore you don't get the stuff required to grow them. So they slowly kind of starve out the trees around them. Yeah. But at some point, you have to make a choice, to cull the tree, to chop the tree down, and take the tree away and start over. But because you get a lot of points for harvesting the big tree, but then you lose that ongoing benefit of having that tree out there. So it's really cool. I mean, there's some misconnections in terms of the sun revolving around like this. It doesn't make much sense, but
season.
I guess maybe, but I like it. I love the tree. The trees are beautiful. There's I think each player has a different.
There's 4 different types.
Design of trees. And when the game's over, it's again one of those kind of showstoppers. You have an entire forest out here on the board when you're done. Oh, I just like it. It's a good one. It's super abstract, but it really feels thematic, even though it's a super abstract game. This tree is in front of this tree, and things like that. So the sun going in circles.
It's an alien planet.
and it loses a bit of theme because you are chopping the trees. But
that's pretty thematic.
We gotta have paper.
Gotta make those board games.
You gotta make those board games. You need cardboard.
Oh my gosh.
And wood.
Troll already mentioned something about how many trees were chopped down for my board game collection.
Yeah,
they're like, what are you doing here?
Exactly.
Rough. That's rough.
All right, what's your number 4?
My number 4, again, kind of along the lines of parks and whatnot, is trekking the national parks. We've talked to you guys about that multiple times. Like, that's one of my favorite things to do is go visit the national parks and actually hang out in there. I'm not a huge fan of touristy, trappy areas as much as I'd rather do this any day of the week.
Right.
And this one's great because it's like Ticket to Ride. So it's light fun. You can go around and traveling everywhere, but you're collecting and pictures or postcards or however you want to look at it of the different parks. And you're collecting stones from those parks, and you have like a set collection. Whoever's got
stones from that.
That's true. But these you can,
and it's souvenir.
It's not set collection. It's like a majority of the colors.
Yeah,
you get a bonus points at the end.
There is a mini expansion that does different things in one of each color.
That's right. That's true. I played that before, but it's really neat because also inside this, I totally geeked out when we got this game because inside it also had a little book that was all about the national parks themselves. The game is based off of. So you have this whole little like mini guide to all the different national parks, and the art's really cool. Just, oh man, they did a great job with that game. It's so much fun, and it's one of those really highly accessible games too, so you can bring it out and get people really like stoked to go do that. This is one of those that'd be fun to take camping to, and
it evokes stories if you've been to some of the
parks. Oh, absolutely. Like that's so much fun. Or hey, we should, you know what, I really want to go to this place, or it's a good starter. It's a good starter, conversation starter.
Yep.
Love it.
I like it.
Love it.
I like it.
Number 3.
Okay. All right, number 3.
Neutral, you're on a tear tonight. Oh my goodness.
Speaking of butterflies.
Butterflies? Mariposas.
Mariposas. So I was just talking about the whole monarch butterflies flying through our neighborhood. This is very much the theme on that. So it's the theme of the monarchs, of them growing up and traveling up north, doing their thing up there, and then coming back home to breed at the end of, I guess it's one season of time.
The course of a year.
I think it's
the course of a year.
So
2 years. It's like 2 years.
Yeah, it's longer than a year.
It's longer, yeah.
Anyway, so you're basically you have little butterflies and you're traveling up this map of the United States, I guess Mexico and the United States of the Americas, and up the coast and up to the north, Canada, and you try to get as far north as you can, and then you come back down south to breed the next generation of butterflies. It's very kind of pressure luck in a way, and see how far you can go north and still make it back in time, because getting back and at the end of the game is lots of points. So you really want to get back, but you want to do accomplish as much as you can in terms of traveling before you head back. Again, this reminds me of we're in the path. The DFW Metroplex is in the pathway of those monarchs flying.
Yep, so that's pretty cool.
So we get like just certain times of year, we get just tons of them everywhere. So I love this game. Again, butterfly theme. That's all those butterflies. I don't know if she's played this one though. I'm not sure if she's played this one.
No, because when we first got it, it was still a little tad heavy, I think, for her.
But anyway, it's a great game. Super thematic. It's and I love the pressure luck as terms of mechanisms. I love the pressure luck thing, because I guess the butterflies go too far north, they can't make it back south in time. They freeze and die. So you got a pressure luck of getting north and getting back south again. Anyway, I love this. Love the theme of this. It's a gorgeous game.
It is. It really is.
A lot of fun. Gamers can enjoy this game because, again, it has gamery type action selections and pressure luck and things like that going on. Meanwhile, its theme is really super thematic. I guarantee that there was a lot of research done in how.
Just the chat.
A lot of research done in their flight paths and how far they go and the season and all that stuff, and where they start, where they end, and all that good stuff. So
I might have more to say about that.
All right then. Mariposas.
Indeedly. So my next game, my number 3, is Fauna. Can't get more natural than talking about the planet and the animals and where they live on the said planet. And I love this game. This is a trivia game, but kind of like Wits and Wagers. You don't necessarily have to know exactly. You just need to be close or figure out who probably does know and bet along with them nearby. This is one of those, you get a little card of a different animal, and you're going to be guessing its like age range or its length, its weight, different things, where it lives. And you have a big world map. And so you're going through and you're placing your bets on these different things, and you get like 7 points or something if you get it 100% correct. And then if you are 1 off, you're like right next to it, you get 5 points or something. It goes down as you get farther away from the actual answers. But it's so much fun because you get like 7 little tokens, and so you can like guess this or that, and you can guess, where you think it is. And if you're not sure, you could hedge your bets and be like, it's in America and Australia. I don't know. You can do kind of, it's fun. It's so much fun. And it's just one of those things that every single time we've played, we've learned something cool about some animal or another. Like, I had no idea this lived in the middle of Siberia, or it's just really interesting. It's fascinating. It's not the most amazing art in the world, but it's really good for being able to recognize the animals. And it's got fantastic information, and it's got it both in imperial and metric. So anybody can play it. And it's just, I don't know.
2 countries still use.
Yeah, those stubborn 2. I will say, okay, my little aside here, Fahrenheit makes sense. The rest of that nonsense needs to go. Celsius, I hate Celsius for temperatures, for weather.
Yeah.
But dang, I mean, come on, yards, when we can have exact, I don't know, it's crazy. Metric system just makes more sense. Come on, America. I don't even remember what the other country was. It was somewhere weird. It wasn't like Burkina Faso or something random. Like it was just a random country. But I don't know. It just amuses me. It amuses me.
There's multiple reasons why America hasn't done it, and mostly because
laziness
and cost. You imagine what it would cost to change.
Imagine what it costs us to be knuckleheads and use the old system.
It'd be hundreds of billions of dollars to this point.
Yeah.
Anyway,
it's true. It's true.
Anywho, all right.
Gotta pay for being stubborn.
True.
Number 2.
All right, my number 2.
Dos.
The big 2. Back to back designers for 3 and 2 for me. Wingspan.
Nice.
So yeah, this is the I would guess the popular pick. If this was a popularity contest,
this one would win.
This would be number 1 on the list.
Although Arc Nova lately, probably.
I got that's my caveat. We'll get
I figured you would.
At the end. Anyway, Wingspan. So this is, like she said, this was already high up on my list, and the little app, the Birdsong app, just took over the top because I can't play this game without that app anymore because it's so much fun.
Oh, it really is.
When you get a bird, to scan the bird and you hear the bird song.
It's so awesome.
I do it over and over and over and over again.
But what's funny is it doesn't bother me. Like, it's not one of those things where usually if you're doing that in a game, you're like, will you stop? You know, no, this is great because it's like you're sitting in the bushes listening to the birds just around you and stuff and just hanging out at the side of a lake or something. And I don't know, I just love it.
And beyond that, the art's amazing. The components are awesome, and you can upgrade those components to make them even more amazing if you
even
wish.
have speckled eggs.
And you have almost a fauna thing going on because you get the wingspan of the bird. You get where it lives. You get what kind of habitats it likes. You get even a little blurb about it. And
sometimes they have special abilities that like are thematic,
the abilities
right?
are thematic, like the predator birds eat other birds. Yep. There's even a bird that steals the eggs of other birds and things like that.
Or whatever.
And yeah, it's just the birds are thematic. What you're doing is thematic. What you learn what kind of food they like and things like that. It's just so good, so good. And the art, like I said, art makes it. And the Wingsong. If you don't have that Wingsong app, you have to
get it.
It's amazing.
Get it.
It's amazing. Takes it from awesome to awesome.
No mess here. It's true though.
Number 2.
All right, so
criminally low on Rebecca's list.
What?
Wingspan.
I can't believe I'm hearing this from you. Well, my number 2, I went with your whole, like you said, you thought it was very thematic. I thought it was apparently more thematic than you, and that was photosynthesis. Because again, you're growing these little trees from little seeds, it's saplings all the way up to these giant trees. And it's cool because there's different species of them. And I think that's really thematic. And a lot of people overlook that too, because I didn't learn this until I was older, but I never realized just how aggressive and what a battleground the plant world really is too. Like there's actually like attacky trees that will like crowd out. Yes, they totally do. But they'll crowd out and they use like chemical warfare. I mean, like it's crazy. Like this is one of those, go research it sometime. It'll blow your mind, the stuff that trees and plants will do. And so this one's kind of cool. Yeah, I know the sun's going around, but you also think about, they had to have some kind of way to make that even, or else one part of the board wouldn't be able to do the sunlight. So I get that. But it's just really neat because some of the trees are getting chopped down. You're getting some victory points for that because you got to, like you said, make your board games. But, you're growing them, they're getting sunlight, and that's giving you energy, and therefore you're getting all this stuff to go do more trees, which, again, that's how plants do their thing. So I just absolutely love it. Absolutely love this. I think it's crazy thematic. And like you said, it's very odd because it's such an abstract game, but the theme works perfectly. It's so cool. Absolutely awesome. Love it.
I do not disagree with you.
Of course you don't, because it's perfect.
Not perfect, it would be number 1.
What?
What just happened?
Number 1.
So here's the funny thing. So I made my story time.
It's always story time.
To add suspense to it. So I made my list, completely made my list. And then I went and jumped over to the Dice Tower. They did it during, I think, the Summer Spectacular. They did it. Same list. They had a 3-road crossover at number 1.
Interesting.
It's also my number 1.
Really?
And it's also your number 1.
No, it's not.
I don't think so.
I know so.
I am shocked, and you forgot about this game because the definitive nature game right now says some of the nature games have the looks and the aesthetics.
Okay.
Some of the nature games have the kind of dog eat dog, this thing eats that thing stuff going on.
Okay.
This one brings it all together in one nice, beautiful, about to be autorific package in Meadow.
Oh, yeah. Okay. I like Meadow.
You forgot about Meadow.
I don't.
You forgot.
I feel like
it's definitive.
Okay. I didn't forget about
agree.
it. It's on my short list.
Mike Delicio agrees. Z Garcia agrees. Tom Vassell agrees. The world agrees. Meadow is the definitive nature.
I don't follow you. I'm not a bandwagoner.
Oh my goodness.
I'm sorry. I feel like this. Maybe I need to play it again.
You need to play it again because it's got the beautiful artwork.
Oh, it's gorgeous
pictures,
art. Absolutely
and
gorgeous.
you also have this animal eats this animal. You got this
That's true.
thing going on.
I always felt like, I guess for some reason I kept thinking of this as more abstract. Oh, I need to play it again. It's about time you made that face instead of me at something. What, are you going to pull it out now? What?
Look at this guy.
He's gorgeous.
He is. Look at this guy.
He's just not my number 1.
He's also over here somewhere. Look at that guy. He looks like this guy.
I'm like, why are you doing what?
Look how cute he is. I want to gobble him up.
I felt like it was a little abstract, so I didn't put it in as a top one. I think the art's probably my favorite out of all of these, maybe even maybe even beating Wingspan.
Aesthetics plus.
But that doesn't mean it's the most natural game. That's not the game I thought of for my number 1. You're gonna let that fall so it. Oh my goodness. No, it's gorgeous. I'm not gonna disagree with your choice.
Anyway, Meadow is awesome.
It's gorgeous.
It is super thematic in terms
It's good. It's pretty.
of the way the tableau building works. You got to sacrifice certain
Nothing says
creatures
nature like
to make.
tableaus.
Wingspan's a tableau. What else is a tableau?
But they're not number 1.
Anyway, and the art is amazing. And as they've already saying in the chat, there's an expansion coming out. Otters and river folk and river creatures and things like that.
It might go to my number 1 after that. Otters! I love otters.
Meadow.
Okay. I want to live somewhere where we can have a pet otter.
Have those around these parts.
Guess we're having to move overseas.
Anyway, Meadow's amazing. If you're looking for a thematic, fun, nature-themed game, Meadow's the way to go. You can do Wingspan too. I've heard it's pretty good. Meadow, the definitive. I have no idea what your number 1 is. Stop. Let me
Hammer time?
look at what we got here. What could be your number 1? Let me go through my list here. Honey Buzz?
Nope. This is fun. I like this.
We decided no Everdell, so no Fantastical.
No.
Sunset Over Water?
No, I decided to dismiss that one as art.
Genotype?
Although I really love
Genotype?
it. No, I felt that one was scientific and not nature. Same thing with all the Mars games.
Oh
And
my gosh. The game I haven't played?
no, you've played it. We played it together.
Lotus?
Nope. Although I thought about Lotus. Lotus is pretty and that one's fun.
Summer Camp?
Nope. Although that's on my short list.
I Give Up?
There you go. Mariposas.
Oh, Mariposas. Okay.
So Mariposas. These are. No, it's not. If you want to go with theme, you cannot get much more thematic than this because it is kind of a press your luck. These little creatures, and it's so funny because they're so delicate. I mean, you can't touch them without messing up their little tiny feathers on their wings and stuff. And yet, they make this thousands of miles trek. Oddly enough, it takes multiple generations. I did not realize this. They don't fly up and then fly down to Mexico to breed. They have generations along the way, yet they continue this crazy migration. And it's just amazing to me. I'm like, you're a much hardier little creature than you look. It's kind of mind-blowing when you think about it. And here you are in this game with these little creatures, and they only have a certain, ability, but somehow you have to like push it to try to get up there and then go back to your home. And they do that every year, in and out, or over a couple of years. But just the fact that they continue that.
Waves.
They go in waves. And that's how the game goes too. Remember,
right.
Like it has that, you have to go back by this time to get started, and then it does the same thing. And I just think that was fantastic that they do that. And I mean, you're kind of, not that butterflies have shoes, but you're living the life of, you're in the butterfly's shoes.
They have little
tiny cute feet. But, and now we're just getting off on the rails. But wow, talk about theme. I think this game's pretty amazing for that.
This is one of the first ones I thought of. This was Meadow and Wingspan were the first three.
Yeah.
On my head, and that's where they ended up 1, 2, 3 because they're the first three I thought of.
I got you totally, and so we already talked about those. It seems like Nathan and I matched on a lot of things.
So, you want to talk about it? Or you want me to jump in?
Go ahead and jump in real quick.
I axe zoo themed games because that's not nature to me. That is captivity.
Yeah, that's
even though Ark Nova has the rehabilitation and release potential, but zoos do not scream nature. And the older I get, the less I like zoos. I mean, it's a way to see the animals, which
and
is
to
cool,
learn about them, and I think that's important.
Them.
And they have huge conservation stuff.
That friggin' tiger in 105-degree weather, I'm like,
oh yeah,
that's not natural. You know, they live in Asia. It gets hot there, but
you don't even
not
know.
like
We need to play Fauna again.
What? They're all over the place. Tigers are everywhere.
Not as much as they should be,
Not
but
as
yeah.
they should be. But anyway, I just act zoo because it doesn't feel natural. It feels simulated or
yeah.
So anyway,
or you could go, if you wanted to do that, that'd be its own category, like zoo category or conservation category or something like that. Oddly enough, do you know what other game I thought of that made my short list? CO2.
Sure.
Because I was thinking about that, because what it is, I mean, you're basically the government saying, hey, we have climate change. We need to do something about this. Right. We need to protect nature.
Change our energy production.
Yeah, and I actually had that on my short list for a while, because I was like, that one came up.
I wouldn't have scoffed if that was on
Yeah, I actually thought about putting that one on there, because I was like, that's pretty related. Although I must say, I did laugh a couple times out loud. Neutral and Xeris, man, you two were like on a tear tonight. I think it was like one of the first things that I think it was Troll said is box of rocks. You're literally fighting nature. You're fighting an actual rock, which is sad because those rocks in that game are fake rocks. They're plastic.
I guess it is.
Yeah, it is nature. Why not? I thought that was awesome, though. You guys had some great ones. Kung Fu Zoo.
So here's my short list.
Yeah, you guys.
I'll jump through my short list.
Yeah, what do you have?
So Ark Nova, Zoo, they got axed.
Yeah.
Creature Comforts, Fantasy.
Fantasy.
Scoville.
I had that on my short list too.
It's kind of that one had potential, but just didn't make my list.
Yep.
Genotype.
Science. I did science
theme.
Yep.
Lotus, I mentioned that was really close to making my list. Floriferous and Herbaceous, both for the reasons I said during that. Then you got Barron Park, New York Zoo, axed. Trek and National Parks was my number 11. It would have been my number 11. It just missed the list. Takanoko, that one feels almost fantastical in a way. It doesn't scream nature to me. It's just really it feels like it's almost a little too fantastical. Yeah. Summer Camp, that one's in nature, but it's really not nature themed.
Yeah, because a lot of times too, some of those summer camps, depending on them, aren't, they'll go out and do something outside. Right.
And then Fauna, that one feels more like a trivia game, more or less like nature for me. And then Cardline Animals, that one's just...
That's a good one too, yeah.
That's the same thing, trivia.
I did have viticulture on there, and then I was thinking, that's
well, if you include
nature,
viticulture, then you include friggin' everything.
Well, that's what I was thinking, farming. Yeah, I feel like that's its own category too.
That's a whole group. I mean, you can put almost every Uwe Rosenberg game on it.
That's what I was thinking. I was like, vegetables and farming and all that kind of stuff, I think is its own category, kind of like the zoo thing, so... Yeah, that's the thing. I really like this trend. What do you guys think about this? We've got this trend where we've got so many really great, strong nature games that are, we've got heavy ones, we've got light ones, we've got in between.
I'm just worried it's going to become the next zombie game.
I don't think it will. The scope for nature games is so much bigger. I mean, you can only do so much with zombies.
Right.
But nature, like we've talked about,
they've done a lot
battling
with
rocks.
zombies. Don't say there's only so much you can do with zombies.
They've done everything with zombies.
1,000 zombie games.
I know. So think about nature. I mean, you could just do,
1,000.
you know,
exaggerated.
Game about bathymetry in the ocean or something, and then you could do a game about, you know, volcanoes. Actually, one of you was joking about Fireball Island.
Fireball Island.
Yeah, like, but I mean, there's so many different aspects of nature. You could just look at, you know, the geology or something, and then animals. But
it's gonna,
I don't think you can wear that out.
It seems like it's becoming
I don't think you can wear that out.
Of a lot of nature things.
No, I don't think you can wear that out. I don't know. Will you guys agree with me on that? I don't think you could wear out nature. It's
well,
just,
as long as they keep looking good and are fun to play, I won't argue.
I was going to say
more games. You can choose the ones you like.
Yeah, I just think it's a huge category, and I think it's here to stay for at least a while. So I'm not complaining. I think it's awesome. This was a fun list to make because it's another one of those things where it's like, dang, I'll go camping. That's like what I thought of half the time while we're doing this.
I'm curious if Board Game Geek, the website about board games, is going to add a nature category.
They really should.
They have an animal category, which I used.
Did you?
And then, but there's only a small percentage of animal games that I consider nature games. So they had all kinds of stuff like Caverna and Agricola and all sorts of under the animal, which is, we kind of talked about that.
Zombie ants. I love it. Yeah, combine the two, Michael. I like it. Zombies and ants. Zombie ants are creepy.
But they're really small and really slow. How scary could they be? There's an ant coming across the... All right, folks, that is it for this time. Next time, we're going to do our variety show. We'll do a variety of things. We played a few games. I think
we'll play more.
I think. Now, Rebecca doesn't know this yet. I think we're going to have a little bit of a board gaming marathon over the Labor Day weekend that's coming up. That's my plan, because if she doesn't, I'll have my own board gaming marathon practicing for the World Series of board games. So
yes to all.
So I want to crank out a lot of games. So we'll have, hopefully, if all goes as planned, we'll have a ton to talk about on the next show.
Awesome, guys. Yeah.
So that is it. We will see you in the lobby. I find it.
Where is the lobby?
Right.
Let's all go to the lobby. Let's all go to the lobby. Let's all go to the lobby to get ourselves a treat.
Thanks for watching. If you enjoyed this video, give it a like. Click subscribe to join our wonderful viewer community.
Want to be notified when we upload a new video or go live? Click on the little bell below.